Hello and welcome to the Empress Redux, your podcast about all things 4K. I'm your host, Kuyo, with your co-host,
Foster, y'all.
And Shiki.
And in today's episode, which you'll be able to find all the timestamps in the description below, we're going to be talking about Chaos supplements. We have the Night Book finally out. We have the Servants of the Abyss finally out. And we have Blood Ravens that are finally out. We all know they're traitors. They like to steal. And their daddy is Magnus.
Bloody magpies.
What? They aren't stealing. They're just acquiring without permission.
Magpies.
And to round out the episode, we're going to talk about our experience at Warzone Houston, a major that happened here in lovely Houston, Texas.
Womp, womp, womp. We fought the storm. That never happened.
Well, you judged the storm, so let's go.
Yeah, I judged the storm.
All right. Now that we finally have the Chaos Knights book in our glorious, glorious hands, what's everyone's interpretations of things?
I'm of a view that, as with so many things on Chaos side, especially keep them cheap. They now offer you a very nice way to get some super heavy on the field without it being like an entire 1/4 year army. And certainly it's a nice step in the right direction after the horribleness that is the nerfing to the greater Chaos demons. Especially like the Night Despoiler at 352 points. You can easily fit one on a list. Give it the Iconoclast thing. Up it up with some CP. You have a solid thing that will shrug off 1, 2s, and 3s to wound. It'll be nice and scary. It'll get all the attention on the enemy field, and you will be safe with a lot of your more fragile stuff. So instead of your Havocs getting bombed off the field by artillery immediately, they'll be focusing on your big scary knight.
And it's ironic that you bring up the Night Despoiler because there's a huge argument on the internet about the cost of the Night Despoiler, which is kind of funny. There's always cost discrepancies when it comes to Chaos. Some people are clocking him around 307, and when I first looked at it, that's exactly what I thought his price cost was going to be.
But turns out he's more on the lines of 350.
352 if you don't give him anything special. Keeping him simple, just has the gauntlet and the big ass chainsword. Because everything has a cost, and if the cost is there, you got to pay for it. I don't see anything that says special. This particular unit doesn't pay for its weapons.
No, he is still terrifying on the field, no matter his cost.
And again, he's very affordable compared to a lot of the bigger things that Chaos usually gets to play with.
I really like him. Iconoclast or Infernal, pick your poison on that one. Infernal makes him faster. Iconoclast makes him hit harder. Either way, or if you're Infernal, you can also, if you want to take that roll of the dice, 2/3 of the roll are benefits to you. You're either tougher, which puts you out of range of Thunderhammers, just beat down, or you're faster, which means you're getting where you need to go better.
And even the damage is pretty negligible considering you have a stratagem to get some health back. So it's not really all that bad with Infernal. Oh, look, I'm taking like 3 mortal wounds a turn. Well, I guess I'm just going to have to kill more stuff to make that pointless.
Now, there are a couple things that I found really interesting. One of them, Kuyo actually brought up to me, was the Iconoclast Crusader with his Vow. I can't remember what the Vow is called off the top of my head, but it's the one where essentially every 10 models you kill, you get an additional attack.
Let's call that the offensive Vow, since the other one is clearly just the defensive, and the other one is the niche.
Sure.
We'll abbreviate it to offense, defense, and niche.
Fair. It doesn't state where you have to kill the models. So if you take a double Avenger Gatling cannon,
you mulch some guardsmen and you buff up your attack.
Exactly. So now you could literally have, even if you kill 20 guardsmen, which is very doable with before you get to combat with your double Avenger Gatling cannon. On the charge, you're going to be rocking a 21 attacks with your feet.
Oh yeah, you're gonna mulch things, which is gonna give you more attacks, which will let you mulch more things, which gives you more attacks. It's delightfully snowbally. I fully actually expect it to eventually get nerfed to only affect melee.
I can see that happen.
Come on, guys. You really think so?
Yeah.
Yes. Let's be honest. Because while certain things can go for a long time, you have things that are clearly going to be able to snowball, like say the huge cultist blobs or the huge conscript blobs on the Imperial side, and those get nerfed even if it is a stable strategy.
And
So
it was the Valve Carnage that you were mentioning.
yeah,
But yes, I do have a feeling that that's going to get probably nerfed. It will. I don't know. The tournament scene right now, which seems to be where GW is placing a lot of its nerfs and whatnot, very much favors hordes. And just running up the field with one of these guys with the Bow of Carnage, mulching hordes, and then mulching them even better, and then continuing to mulch them very well. Yeah, it's going to make some people cry pretty hard.
although it would be pretty great to run up, shoot up, say a group of let's say gaunts. You shoot a few, you shoot some more, you mulch that one group, and the sheer amount of attacks you're going to get in like the first two or three turns is insane if they keep making the mistake of piling in more guys.
That is true.
If anything, I'm thinking they would nerf it so that your attack characteristic can't go over 10, something like that.
That's a possibility. But even then, if you think about it this way,
or make it a you can only get a cap of a certain amount of attacks per turn.
yeah,
Where like you can keep stacking, but like you could only get one additional attack from that rule each turn.
I don't know.
If you understand what I'm saying, where it's like, okay, you've killed 10, so you get one additional attack. That's all you can gain that turn. You have to wait till next turn to get another attack from another 10.
Yeah. But even then, if you think about it, even if you did cap that Knight Crusader we're talking about right now,
It'd still be great.
30 attacks in close combat. 30. Just that, it's what dreams are made of.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm really liking the chaos.
Now, admittedly, you are spending like 550 points for that, which is a little hefty, but I can see that being more than worthwhile.
Yeah. I also like the Valiant. I think the Valiant's found its home finally.
You're just saying that because you're in love with the Valiant.
I'm saying that because auto-hitting Thunderhammers are auto-hitting Thunderhammers.
And I was wrong before people correct me. It's 485 points at 550. Jeez.
Sorry, guys. We are a small podcast. We get things wrong. But yeah, no, I'm in love with the idea of an Infernal Valiant with 3d6 auto-hitting Thunderhammer shots. It's a beautiful thing when I say it out loud. And once they allow you to actually take Karens, they FAQ it, which I don't know why you wouldn't be able to, but I've been told that might not be a thing. But once they FAQ it to allow you to get a Karens in there, oh boy. Yes. you're going to have some very, very sad people when you got Movement 14, Thunderhammer striking, auto hitting Angry Men's that regenerate wounds every turn. Can you feel it?
It's not really my style, but if it works, it works.
Yeah. So,
Well,
I'm sure. Okay.
I was going to say, people need to make sure to prepare for the upcoming Night Revolt, because I think you'll be seeing a lot of Chaos Knights on the tables in tournaments and in friendly play coming up soon.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be the one plus side I will say, and we're going to touch on this when we get to certain CBS, is that as far as like the synergy between the Chaos Knights and the rest of the Chaos Lists, it's far lower as far as support between armies than it could have been, which I guess is good for making them able to be dealt with. Like, there's not going to be any shenanigans with like a Lord Discordant being able to buff the knights. That none of them have the demon engine keyword.
Yeah, which was something we were afraid of. But
Well, I was kind of hopeful for it. It would have been neat, but I don't lament it being gone because it would have been it would have necessitated probably nerfing the Discord in some way that's not really necessary.
yeah. Well, and there is one other thing that I'm not sure everybody will be completely up on. But you do have a way of healing your Chaos Knights outside of being an Infernal with that stratagem. And that is through the use of the Chaos Hellrite from Forge World, which doesn't have
Yeah, though with how fast they are, and honestly, if you're babysitting a night with that, people can always just come up to you and smack your Hellrite.
True. But I'm looking at it more from if you want to play something along the lines of a Triple Crusader list without going with the double Avenger Gatling cannon, because I think that now the double Avenger is not the way to go if you're playing Infernal. I actually think that a Avenger Gatling cannon and a rapid fire battle cannon is probably the better option. Just simply because the Infernal power doesn't buff all of your weapons, it buffs the chosen weapon. And so from there, you can now pick your weapon depending on what you need at that time. And the Hellrights are just sitting back there going, I got you, bro, don't worry.
Well, not so much sitting back, since they do have to be within 1 inch.
Yeah. But you know what I mean. Just standing behind the knight, standing behind the line, and going from there. But it's going to be something you're going to see at tournaments. It's going to be a massive...
At the very least, it's going to be a lot of people experimenting. I still think probably the best way to use them to get the most out of a Chaos Army is probably going to be keeping it cheap and maybe having one knight or a small attachment. I'm not too sure how great a full Chaos Knight army is going to be. You'll just lack the board coverage that the Imperial version can get with the Loyal 32.
Well, I can say this. I will be testing it just to see how I like it. You're right. It's going to have some differences to it. You're not going to be able to get the Loyal 32. The Disloyal, what is it, 17?
The Piratical 17, the Red Corsairs, just they're good, but the Warpsmiths are pretty slow if you're going for the cheapest option. The Warpsmiths themselves can't repair the Knights because they're not a Legion vehicle. You need the Hellrite for that. Hellrights are more than double the cost. So at that point, you're investing more into the Piratical 17. Yeah. Your average 65-point Marine squad isn't going to be able to hold its ground that well. They die to a stiff breeze, and they kill a little bit better than that.
I'm actually interested in a triple Despoiler Gallant variant and triple Lord Discordant with running up the field. I think that even without buffing themselves or buffing the Knights themselves, I think that having that much metal crashing down on your opponent's front line is going to be a pretty big deterrent for a lot of people.
It can be. Certainly with 3 lords discord, you're gonna have a lot of inter-unit synergy there, and just a lot of infantry multi, and they can easily clear a path for the knights. The downside being it's investing a lot into the hope that they won't have good target priority, because the obvious way then to kind of slow that down is to quickly pop whichever one of the 4 discos is going to be your warlord, because chances are one of them will be.
Yeah.
And just work from there, because the discos are basically the Achilles heel of that strategy.
Yeah. Well, we shall see what comes in the near future. It's going to be really interesting to see how we move forward from.
All right, let's shift gears to talk about the new Servants of the Abyss, because it seems like GW is ramping up to do a Traitor Guard list. Shiki, you wanna jump on these traitors?
Yeah, they recently released the Ogren and the Commissar. The Ogren is probably going to slip by the wayside. The nice thing about the Commissar is that, as far as can be told, it's not a unique model, which means that now you could actually make a battalion to get 5 good command points using 2 Commissars, 2 groups of Guardsmen, and 1 group of Chaos Beastmen. Of course, the downside being is it's a little bit more expensive than the Loyal 32 base. The Commissars are okay. Their rules are kind of counterintuitive to the strengths of the Guardsmen, since the Chaos Guardsmen unfortunately come in a group of 7. So if you're killing one every turn to get them to move, you're rapidly going to not have very many Guardsmen to hold that point. Even with objectives secured, you're going to have a rough time being able to capture anything. You better hope they hold. The good thing is they of course will have the usual leadership issues resolved. But being such a small group, you're probably not going off the board, because you'll probably be dead before then. The Commissars don't really have to worry about needing to shoot anyone. They don't even have that rule as far as being able to solve morale with shooting, ironically enough. I guess in this case, Chaos more just wants to move fast. They don't care if you try to flee. The Beastmen, on the other hand, are also 4 models, and they're 4 really good models. I'll say that. If you could have a group greater than 4 guys in there, a unit of Chaos Beastmen would be a great addition to a Chaos army. As it is, it's 4 dudes. They're killy for what you get. They're also very cheap. But if they can get into combat and hurt something, I guess they make the points back by that. Unfortunately, unlike the Loyal 32, you don't really have a lot of options with this. The guys are static. There's no things you can choose from. The Chaos Guardsmen come with set weapons. You have I think 1 flamer in there. It's the usual las guns you can shoot at people. It's the same old with only now with 7 models. The biggest problem I guess you'll run into is that it is literally just a battery. You hope that 5 points is worth having less board control than you may be able to get with, say, more cultists. Cultists have been nerfed plenty, but they're still one of the best ways you can just flood the board with more models to hold.
Now, let me ask you this, because I'm only looking at 1 set of data sheets. How many points is a Commissar?
50.
50?
Yeah.
Because actually, if you're looking to just create a CP battery, you can actually make a cheaper CP battery by running 3 groups of the Beastmen.
You can't. Beastmen are unique.
Are they?
Yep, you can only have 1 group, and you can only have 2 groups of Guardsmen. Yeah. That's why you can't make more than one battalion of it. It's crazy.
Huh.
That's also why they haven't been able to make a battalion period before then, because back when Mr. Thunderhammer Chaos Lord was your only HQ option, he was also unique. You couldn't have more than one HQ at the time. The only thing that makes this remotely viable is the fact that the Commissar is, at the moment, as far as can be told, not unique.
That
Well,
is unfortunate.
I think all of this is just a prelude to an actual codex, because right now you're just getting a data sheet with something from a standalone game.
Yeah,
So
and I think as a prelude, it's a great taste of things to come. But as far as being currently viable, if you can fit in your list, great. I do think you'll be probably better off making a workable Red Corsairs group. It makes something bigger than the Piratical 17 if you can fit it in. You'll get more out of it than the servants will give you.
yeah.
See, I'm kind of just looking over this stuff now. I wasn't aware that they had gotten their 40K sheets, but it might be interesting to see how it affects the meta. I don't know if it's going to make a huge splash yet,
If it,
but
if anything, I would say the biggest input they're going to give to competitive play would be having these awesome models help with your painting score.
Oh yeah, that's certainly a plus.
which, as we know, some people have literally won tournaments because of their painting scores.
Although, let's talk about one hilarious trap you could have if you decide to bring Mr. Thunderhammer Chaos Sword into your Servants of the Abyss. A good chunk of your army now in the Servants group now has the downside of not only no longer being considered troops, so you now can't fill up your troop slots, but they all have to deploy near him. So I love that little trap they have there, because he's one of the, ironically, even though he's not a great thing to put in a chaos list, he's one of the better options in the servants, except he hinders your ability to be able to use the servants to their best.
Well, every once in a while, when the Chaos Servants see their daddy around, they got to just drop what they're doing and go to daddy and hope for the best.
It's true.
All right, and ending off on our heretical talk, let's talk about Magnus's 40K babies, the ones that survive, the Blood Ravens.
Blood Ravens.
Have y'all been able to look at the rules for the Blood Ravens that are out in the newest White Dwarf?
I have gotten a chance to look over them.
I saw a little bit. I can't say I actually remember much. It doesn't look like their chapter master has changed all that much from his previous iteration, which I don't think is bad. It is a shame he can't do the hilarious acrobatics he could in Terminator armor back in Dawn of War 3. Okay, sure. Let's pretend Terminator armor isn't super heavy.
Wait, are you telling me right now that Terminator armor is super heavy?
It might be. It sure looks that way, and it's described that way in fluff. But I guess he proves to us that you can do backflips in it.
Well, they did add something to represent his backflips in his rules. But let's look at the Blood Ravens chapter trait. They have Relentless Seekers. Basically, with this ability, you get to ignore ones and twos, unmodified wound rolls, ones and twos, when targeting a model with this ability. Which is weird wording that they said ones, because ones are always filled from the main rule book. So basically, anything strength 8 and above is going to need a 3 to wound you.
I think they probably did that to avoid people making an argument of, well, it says that twos don't. I'm sure you'd find someone that tries to rule lawyer. Well, now it's twos that fail, not ones. It wouldn't make much sense, but there'd be someone trying to argue that.
Yeah. Also, they have the ability to reroll ones on psychic tests and deny the witch tests, which is a really strong ability to have, especially if you're going to have multiple psychics in your list.
But they're not Thousand Suns. So it's okay.
I think it's kind of funny because a lot of people are focusing in on the first part of their chapter tactic, which is the ignoring twos. But to me, the meat and potatoes here is the second part. Especially considering you can take Phobos librarians with them, and the Phobos librarian school is amazing, and all their powers are cheap. So rerolling those ones, that almost guarantees your powers go off.
Yeah, I think all of their abilities are Warp Charge 6.
Warp Charge 6 or 7, I think. Like, they are ludicrously cheap for what they are.
And
yeah, I mean, that's amazing to me. Just having that reroll ones, it's going to make your psychic phase a lot smoother.
And they're coming in with a stratagem for 1 CP, Blood Raven's Chief Librarian.
So you too can have a guy that never betrays you and ascends to be a Cornet Demon Prince.
Yeah, with this ability, you can choose one of your Blood Raven's librarians. They get the title, the keyword Chief Librarian, and they're able to get 1 additional power and attempt to deny 1 additional power.
Not bad. If you've got the extra CP lying around, it's not bad at all.
And you probably will. It's an Imperial army. You're playing soup. You'll have CP to spare.
Yeah.
And next, let's talk about the Relic, which has the most
Don't
metal
do that
of name.
Purgatorus. There we go. Purgatorus.
Purgatorus.
It's if you had a heavy bolter, married it to an inferno bolter, and then married it with an autocannon, I guess. Strength 5, AP -3, 2 damage. It's G-shot pistol. I mean, if you want to have a guy have a really rocking pistol, I guess there you go.
If you want to waste your relic slot, take it.
Oh, sounds like a hater.
It's not a waste when you go into combat and the guy's like, "Hey, this guy has no close combat weapon. I'm safe." Oh, he shot me in the head. I mean, that won't happen because they probably won't take Purgatorus, but yeah, in some alternate universe, someone might be really surprised at that.
I'm just saying, Marine Codex is filled with pretty decent relics. Why would you ever waste those slots on?
Because you want to go anti-meta, because you want to go, hey, you know what? I got a bolt pistol, I got a plasma pistol. I'm not Cypher, but I'm going to pretend to be. And now I got an even better pistol. Look at me. Don't do that, people. Don't do that.
Don't do that to yourselves. We don't condone self-flagellation. I don't know. I don't like it. That's just me.
I think it's fine as a niche. Perhaps in a very small scale game, it might actually find a good use where you just don't have a lot of points to throw around. You have you have your one leader who you don't want to actually risk getting into combat, so you give him a pistol, just blink away. That could do pretty decent, but unless you routinely play like 500 points or less games, it's probably not going to see that much field use.
What are your thoughts, Kuyo?
Man, it's a pistol.
It's a pistol.
But we got to talk about Gabby.
Go ahead.
Oh, yep. Leap into a fray. There he goes. Yeah, he can do his front flip and back flip into the enemy to give them more wounds.
Actually, to be honest with you, I really like about him is that Godsplitter has 2 weapon profiles.
Which is, I think he already had that in his previous iteration, but it's good that it stayed.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I personally would like to see the heavier weapons like Thunderhammers, other like Custodian Axes. I would like to see them get a sweeping ability to them.
I agree to a point. Maybe for characters, I don't like the idea of that ever coming to like units of Storm Shield, Thunderhammer Terminators, that would be so obscene and so obnoxious to fight.
It might be.
They're already annoying to kill. We don't need them also to be able to mulch everything in their path more than they already do.
Like I said, that it might be what they need to actually see the table. In fact, you've convinced me. I'm going to write a letter.
Okay.
I'm not saying that it needs to be massive. I mean, if you even go with assault terminators, it's 6 attacks, but it's 6 attacks hitting on 3s that only kill infantry, and terminators move 5 inches.
Only kill it. It's still strength 6. That's one of the big milestones to be able to start wounding things on 5s. Like a lot of things will still die to the sheer weight of attacks.
Oh, see, I don't think that.
Now you'll probably still want to use mighty strikes, but if you're facing something that's like strength, if you're facing a large group of things that like toughness 5, you're probably going to use sweeping blows instead. Just drown them in being able to wound on 3s.
See, the way that I would view a sweeping blows change for, say, things with thunder hammers and the axes would be that you just use your base strength. You don't go up any additional with the weapon because you're doing a slashing attack. But that's just me.
I was going with the assumption that you were assuming they were going to get like the same sweeping blows, with +2 strength, 1 AP, 1 damage.
I actually would like to see it more along the lines of the Fenrisian Great Axe Dreadnoughts, where it's just for every 1 attack you get 2, and you're just doing it at a much diminished profile. But we will see if that is something that takes hold later down the line.
I'm actually more in favor of if you want to be able to kill lots of things, bring a dedicated weapon. But thunder hammers don't need to be more ubiquitous than they already are. Do we really want Smash Captains to be that much better?
Well, I mean, I play Marines, so
yes, hey, you would.
Yes, he does. All right. Well, this is going to wrap up our coverage of new things in Chaos Land. A lot of love, a lot of new models, and a lot of hobby time coming forth. After the break, we're going to be talking about Warzone Houston and what we did that weekend. All right. We'll be back. All right, we are back to the show, and we're going to end this episode talking about our experiences at Warzone Houston. That was major that happened last weekend here in Houston, Texas. I think overall there was about 200 players there. 80 or so were inside of the 40K championship games, and I and Foster played different roles this time. I was a player, and he was actually a TO.
I was the judge.
They didn't give him a hammer, but they did regrettably give him a loudspeaker.
Yes, they did. You will respect my authority.
So I'm going to go over my games really quickly. I brought the same list that I've been using for the last couple of months. 50 Guardsmen, a Night Crusader, 3 Manticores, Master of Ordnance with Old Grudges, a Psyker, a Priest, my Bulgrin Bomb, the Punisher Vendetta, Punisher Vulture, Scions with their commander to jump on some objectives late game. So, same thing that I've always been taking. My first game, I was fighting Gene Stillicoat. One of the best Gene Stillicoat players we have in the area. He was a part of Team Redacted. And it was interesting. First 2 turns, I was like, oh, I can handle this. This isn't bad. I pretty much wiped everything off the table. And then he brought in his reserves, and it was another story. The Acolytes with Flamers came in and did terrible, terrible things to my guardsmen. He was able to do his perfect ambush, come in and just pretty much destroy whatever he touched. Uh, I was able to weather the storm with whatever was left. I was like, okay, this is fine. I can handle this. I killed off all of the acolytes and the Kellamorph. I decided I'm just gonna say everything on the other side of the field is lost to me right now. So he was able to take out my knight using I can't remember the name of their weapon, but basically a las cannon.
Mining laser.
Yeah, mining laser. One problem I always have with my knight, I put him out in the words.
Out of nowhere.
Trying not to curse. The problem I have with my knight, I put my dick out in the wind, and
oh my god,
he's always unsupported. So he died to mine lasers, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna say that part of the field is gone to me.
So how did you how much did that one group of acolytes kill? It was like a 20-man group. It was spread out so it could fire on multiple units.
Yeah, it was a 20-man group spread out and shot like 4 units at once. So I was able to kill all of them, and then turn 3, he just did the same thing because he had another full man group and another Kellamorph.
Wondrous.
Your tears.
So struggling with that match. I mean, I think I put up a good fight. I still need to be able to deal with him dropping down so close to me. So I should have castled up a little bit more and pushed him a little bit further back. So that's what I learned from that match. I ended up losing it to a 25-33 score, I believe. So even in loss, I picked up some hefty amount of points.
It wasn't a blowout.
Yeah. So with that first loss, I was like, you know what? It's fine. It's fine. You know, I only want to go 3-2 for this this tournament. That was my my goal. I ended up going to the tournament last minute. I was on a waiting list. Wasn't even sure I was going to be able to play. So if I did 3-2, I was going to be happy. My next opponent was Gerald Springer. He's actually a commissioned painter in this area. He had a beautiful, beautiful Alpha Legion list that I was fighting.
Wait, real quick. I didn't realize Jerry Springer played this game.
Gerald Springer.
Oh, well then.
I mean, he might go by Jerry Springer. I don't know. That's possible. The crux of his list was a Terminator bomb that was inside a Land Raider Spartan. So he had, I believe, 7 Terminators.
I think so. Yeah.
All with chain axe and combi plasma. They were Mark of Slanesh.
So every time they would pop around, they'd fire twice.
Yeah.
Well, he was using the Lemayans, wasn't he? As his Terminators from 30K?
I don't know exactly. I know they were from 30K because his list looked like it was a 30K list that he used for 40K.
Yeah. All I know is that his list was absolutely, his army was gorgeous. But then again, I'm a sucker for color shifting paint.
He actually had 8 Terminators with a Terminator champion, so 9 Terminators altogether.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal. They all came out of that Spartan, laid down withering fire. You can still do some damage in close combat, and because they were Alpha Legion, I'm hitting them at -1, and he was buffing them so that I was hitting some units on -2. And as a guard player, that's means pretty much I'm gonna not be hitting anything.
So for those at home keeping score, Those are models with -2 to be hit, 2 up, 5 up in bone saves. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty scary, but with my artillery, I just focused on one target at a time, deleted it, started moving up the field. After I survived his plasma bomb, I was able to easily take the field and push him away, and I ended up winning that with 36-15 win.
Not bad.
To keep your cool and stabilize.
And I kept my knight back. So my next game was against Steven, one of my favorite opponents from Team Redacted. If you remember from my last battle report, talking about a tournament, I played him in San Antonio, and he said I was the reason why he signed up for Warzone Houston. We had such a great game, so this was a rematch. He decided to bring guard after seeing what I did with my guard down in San Antonio. So it was a guard on guard slugfest. It was pretty interesting. He had a shadow sword instead of having a knight, and he had basilisk instead of having manticores. And we both knew whoever went first was going to be really important to who was going to win. I was clenched up really tight on that dice roll. I was able to win it, even though I had more drops than him, and he didn't seize initiative. So my first turn, it was kill the shadow sword. Ironically, my knight did almost no damage to his shadow sword. I think I only did like 6 damage with all of my shots from my knight. I just whiffed. He had no buffs or anything like that. It was just like, oh, I was rolling in my shot, and it was like, oh, yep, got 1 hit, and he rolled a 5 up to block it. So I ended up only doing 6 damage with the knight, and then my manticores opened up. That was my old grudge's target, and they put in work as they always do. Love my manticores, and I think I got the final wound off with my sniper using the turbo penetrator rounds. My Vindicator looked into the slot and shot the driver, and that was it.
Which is quite possibly one of the most cinematic things you can think of when it comes to 40K.
So after that, it was retaliation from the rest of his army. He had Basilisk, tank commanders. His Trojan was buffing one tank commander. So I took it, threw it back. And at the end of the game, I was victorious again with a 31-26 win. But it was such a pleasure playing Steven. He's probably my favorite opponent of the tournament, and he told me now I have to come to Dallas to fight him.
Oh shit!
So
Fair enough. It's a 4-hour drive. It's fine.
So I ended day 1 with a 2-1 lead, and I was think I was playing on table 12 for day 2. But Foster, you want to jump in with how day 1 was being a TO?
Yeah. First and foremost, I want to give a huge shout out to the Warzone group. Everything was run really smoothly. Everything worked out really well. This is my first tournament ever that I've judged. So you know me, like to jump in without actually looking to see if there's water in the pool. So ultimately, everything worked out really well. I personally think that if you are a 40K player that wants to be big in the tournament scene, or if you want to really be big in the community, that you should probably make one of the first things you do offer your services as a TO at a tournament. I know that being on the side of just your average player, there's a lot of things you don't think of that TOs take care of. And that's a big thing is, just kind of seeing how it is on the other side, I guess, is probably where I'm going with all this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I got to give a huge shout out to all the Warzone guys. As I said earlier, we had the threat of a storm coming in, a pretty big one. We were hearing all week about how we were going to get a hurricane, we were going to be underwater, life was going to be terrible. The flood's coming back to get us from last year or the year before, sorry. And everybody, a good chunk of players still showed up. The TOs ran it very smoothly. There wasn't a lot of big issues. We had a couple questions that ultimately were accepted. The results were accepted on it, and people didn't argue about it like I've seen in the past. I really enjoyed myself. All the guys over at Warzone, great guys. Can't ask for a better experience.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Now, I will say this, though. Being a judge, especially when you're watching people's games, I'm that loudmouth in class that if I know something, I'll let you know. And so here it was hard when I saw mistakes happening that I wasn't like, leave it alone, Foster. That's their game. That's not yours. Nobody wants a backseat player. So, but outside of that, like I said, it was fine.
All right. Shiki, I know you didn't come to the event, but you have had your first ITC games in general. How have you felt about jumping into new competitive scene?
Well, for the most part, it's certainly better than helping the secondaries and like regular 40k just don't completely upend me. It's always for a lot of my lists, since I tend to play more fragile but offense-based list. The opponent getting first turn is getting first blood was always something really annoying to have to recover from. In ITC, there's a lot more ways to swing back or be able to focus on certain aspects. Like recently fought Foster with my Gene Stealer cult and him his Thousand Sons. I was not going to be able to contest him on objectives, so instead I focused on getting as many kills on his army as I could to be able to keep the momentum going on my side. So even though he would have the objectives for longer, I would ultimately keep more points to stay ahead until I could finally be able to actually move up and capture stuff. It's a good way to be able to have a plan going in without it being so much as who wins first turn and who does more damage first.
All right, love it. All right, let's get back to my day two.
Please do.
Day two of Warzone Houston. Let me correct that. I was playing on table 8, so still in the top tables. I was playing against Chris. He's a local here in the Houston area. We played one other time at a local RTT. Great player as always. It was his Dark Eldar versus my Imperial Guard, and it was a brutal game. It could have went either way. I want to say around turn 3, his dice failed him hardcore, and mine just got red hot. I was making 5-up saves on my psychers, 6-up saves on my priests.
Sometimes it happens. Foster can tell you how a 6-up at the right time can just ruin a push.
Yes, it can.
Yeah. He was running a whole bunch of poison, and he was like, "Oh, shooting me, 20 times, and actually only getting 1 wound to go through." So it got really, really, really tight coming those in turns, and I was able to pull out a 2018 win against Chris at the end of it. It was a great game. We ended it with a hug. It was so so close to the wire, But he was a pleasure, and I'll play him any day of the week. And hopefully, the next local tournament I go to, I will play him. So my final game, I was playing on table 6, so closer and closer to the top table. I was playing against Gary Moore. He was a tile player coming out of Florida. Drove 8 hours to come to Texas and play with some of the best we have in our community. And it was only my second time playing tile, and after deployment, I realized the mistake I had done. So, as commented before, I put my knight out where my knight shouldn't have been. My knight was leading the army for some reason, like a guy, like a brave general, but him not knowing he's not the leader. He got first turn. He had 3 riptides, a group of broadsides, and just supporting units around the table. Turn 1, my knight went down. So a fourth of my army died without being able to do anything in retaliation. In retrospect, I know I should have just taken my knight, put him like 13 inches further back than where he was, and it would have been a completely different game. Even if I would have had him around for 1 turn, I could have done a lot more damage than I did. After losing him, my strategy kind of fell apart. I know the only thing I had to do was kill the drones, because he had a lot of drones, and then focus down the riptides or the broadsides. Battle plan just kind of fell through. I should have taken my knight, put him back. Even if I didn't do any shooting at turn 1 with the knight, it would have been better to have him alive. And I could have took my manticores and just peppered his drones. I was thinking I should have attacked each individual drone squad and just tried to have them feel morale or see how much damage I can do with 1 manticore at a time. Turn 2, then advance my knight and kill whatever he had to bring into range of me, and destroy the drones with combined fire from my manticore and my vulture, and then work on his big units. I made the broadsides my old grudges target, and I don't think I even shot at them until turn 3. Like, even put any damage on them. So it was a lesson that I learned. Also, I took the Eversword for some reason, knowing that him getting into combat was going to be almost impossible with all of them overwatching him and hitting him on 5s.
Yeah, I don't understand why you did that.
Well, in my head, I was thinking, oh, if I take the Eversword, I'm only wounding on 5s with most of it. And I was like, oh, no, actually, I'm wounding on 4s. So I'm hitting on 2s, wounding on 4s. So I should have took the Eversword. That game was really rough for me. That was my worst game of the weekend. I ended up losing it, only scoring 12 points to his 21. I didn't get any headhunter points. I think I only got like 2 secondaries. Yeah, once he took down my knight, I couldn't get close to him with any units. Everything that got close got shot up. I finally got my Bulgenstrad into combat, but killed one thing and then got knocked off the table. It was a rough game, but it was a great opponent. I had fun, and I hit my goal of going 3-2 at major. So only my second big tournament that I've been to, so it wasn't bad.
Good enough.
So I missed scoring 6th place, and it dropped me down to 27th. But not bad for being able to see the light of top tables.
Oh yeah, no, it was really good to see you up there. I got to watch your game. I got to watch some incredible games off on the side. one of the big things for me was that day 2 there weren't as many needs for judges. We had a couple questions that were ultimately fairly simple, but outside of that, our players were playing nice, quote unquote, doing everything they were supposed to, and the fights went on pretty well. I was really proud of our guys.
But you want to speak on the overall winner of Warzone Houston?
No, because I'm terrified of it. So many smasher guns.
Yeah. The winner of Warzone Houston, who went 5-0, was Nick Sutherland from Team Redacted. And he had a mighty 12 smasher guns.
Yep. There are some things in this world that just should not be, and that's one of them.
Yeah, and if you're not aware what the smasher guns do, they are D3 shots each. They are -4 AP, D6 damage, and instead of rolling to wound an opponent, you roll 2d6 and you compare that to the toughness of your opponent. If you equal or surpass them, you go through.
Yep. It just deals a ton of damage. And if I remember correctly, each smasher gun is only 31 points.
Yeah, they are super cheap, super durable because they have 6 wounds each at toughness 5.
Yeah. It's one of those that I look at and I think to myself, I don't understand how that's a thing. I hate to be that guy, but literally spending less than a Night Titan to get that many shots on the field that, if I remember correctly, can generate more shots.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little bit ridiculous. In my opinion, at least. I would suspect that's going to see a nerf in the near future if it keeps doing as well as it is.
And false, it's actually 46 points per smasher gun because you have to pay for the gun and the grots.
And the grots?
Yeah.
Gotcha. I thought the grots were rolled into the cost.
No.
Gotcha.
We just had this conversation about the
I will conversate you later.
Everything costs. Nothing is free
later,
except when
sir.
it is.
But yeah, it was a beautiful army and it was laying waste to pretty much everything it touched.
Yeah, every time I looked over at that list, it was the same thing every time. It was opponent's head hung and just smash guns destroying everything.
It's their lesson to learn. If you're going to beat orcs, you got to be greener.
Yes.
So it was a great tournament. Had a great time there. I want to thank John Owens for running it for us, and everyone who contributed to the success of the tournament here in Houston.
Yeah, I want to go ahead and also give a huge shout out to our friendly local gaming stores. We had a ton of prize support, like a tables full of prize support for our events. And if you really think about it, that prize support doesn't just grow off trees. You gotta find it from somewhere. Somebody's got to sacrifice so that the players can have a good time and have something to work towards. We also had not individualized, but very unique trophies with bolt guns and chain axes and little chain swords. And I think for the Age of Sigmar guys, they got the Stormcast Eternal Hammers. And it just, a lot of love went into this tournament. And I'm really happy to say that I was a part of it. Looking forward to helping out again next year in whatever capacity I can. But yeah, it just, like I said, it was one of those things that it was a great time had by all. Hope to see more people there next year, because the more people we get in, the more people that we get to meet.
Yep. All right, guys. I want to thank you for listening to this episode of the Emperor's Rejects. Make sure to like and subscribe, and if you believe in the Emperor, you'll hit the subscribe button. If you don't believe in the Emperor, you'll hit it anyway because you're a heretic and you're gonna get exterminated.